Watch this. No way!
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Cookie Jar Golf Podcast. I am Tom Mills, and I'm joined by Sam Williams.
Thomas, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Podding on your birthday, how does it feel?
The grind never stops, but it is my birthday. My wife actually forgot this morning.
38?
38 years of age.
Wow.
This is my 39th year. Yeah, it's birthdays are funny, aren't they? It's you get presents that people feel that they have to buy you, and you know you don't need, and you've got to smile, and the cards. I've noticed the cards get less and less. Like, people write less and less stuff in it. It's like, you know, when I was in my 20s, it was like, oh, my parents were like, oh, you're the best.
You're one of the best.
You're the best son I could ever wish for, and then like give you a bit of a detailing or whatever. Now it's like, happy birthday, mum and dad. It's like, it's just sort of all the effort's gone.
Does it feel, I mean, how do you feel about age? Do you feel?
I feel exactly the same as I did when I was 16.
Yeah.
Probably a smidge wiser.
I'd probably say 21.
Yeah, I don't recall changing at all.
I don't feel any different.
I've probably got grumpier. I'd happily put my hands up to that. I'm definitely grumpier than I was in my 20s.
Well, it's a great day. I mean, it's your birthday.
I can drink more than I could in my 20s, I'd say.
Okay.
Do you know when I was in my 20s,
You're a better
I
player,
couldn't...
you're a significantly worse rugby player, or do you think it's still in the locker?
I'd like to think it's still in the locker, but I've got no doubt it's considerably worse. Considering I haven't played in the best part of 10 years now. This has probably marked 10 years this year. So
do we get the next year out of the way with, and then 2025 is going to be a landmark year for you, 40 years on this planet.
Just get rid of 39, just move on to 40. But
I watched something really depressing.
Do you know when I was in my 20s,
day.
I couldn't down a pint. Couldn't do it.
Why do you keep bringing us back to drinking? Yeah, I mean, you've come on leaps and bounds, but in more ways than one. You've just had a smart haircut for one, but I watched something really, really depressing the other day on TikTok or Instagram, whatever it is. And it said, the first 40 years is sort of, progression. And then the last 40 years is just sort of decline and sort of, well, not even regression, but the point was you're sort of on the way up to 40, and then you're just counting down after 40. I thought it was a dreadfully depressing sentiment. But anyway, happy birthday, Thomas.
There is a high probability that I'm close to death now that I am to birth, which is, that's sad, isn't it? It's probably just teetering on the edge of it. Depending on what happens, obviously, if I get hit by a car, that's going to change things again. But
any nice presents?
My children got me. They were very thoughtful. They went out and got me some aftershave that I use. I mean, consider the 2 and 4. I thought it was brilliant because they don't really have any idea about anything. Obviously, that was purchased for them, and got some shoes from my wife.
Lovely, very smart.
And we're going somewhere this afternoon, so we're podding early on the morning of the 9th November, which is my birthday. And,
podding live.
As of midday, we're going somewhere. I don't know where. She always does this. She's taking me somewhere. Got no idea where I'm going. I hate surprises because I invariably don't like them, and I have to act happy.
I don't like surprises. Yeah, I don't like that.
Like, I say to her, I'd just rather know, so then at least I can pretend that I like it when I'm there and not be like visibly disappointed.
I'm quite morose on my birthday, to be fair, as well. It feels very much like any other day. And people get really G'd up for you when it's your birthday, which is lovely. We are coming across like a pair of grumpy old men here.
What's also I've noticed is, I've noticed last year, but I'm sure the trend will continue this year, is Facebook. If you think back 10 years, whatever, if it was your birthday, you'd have like hundreds of messages like on your
birthday from people you don't know.
Happy birthday. And then it's just declined. And now you might get 2 or 3 people who've been like, oh yeah, birth mails.
That's a real positive. That was
well,
always
it means I don't have to
vacuous.
open the app, because I don't like to leave notifications on my phone. So every time a notification comes up, I've got to clear it because it annoys me. So at least I have to do that less.
Well, happy birthday. I'm feeling truly atrocious. I've got I think everybody in Britain right now has a cold.
It's not all about you, mate. It's about me today, yeah?
Okay. You get in there and you make it about you.
Not very well, are you?
No, just feeling a little under the weather. It's cold, isn't it? It's just, I think everyone's got a bit of a cold at the moment, but apologies to our listeners. You will not catch it through the airwaves, but you can probably hear it in my voice. Interesting time of the year, Tom. Gifts. Your birthday. It's very hard to know what to buy people, isn't it?
This is a plug.
I wouldn't say it's a plug. I'd say it's a segue into, I suppose I look at it and think, God, it's really hard to know what to get, a guy for his birthday who really likes golf. He's got great taste in golf podcasts.
Likes Peter Millar, or towels, or teas.
Yeah. Or if your birthday's
or
in
Mackenzie's.
December, they like some other stuff. There might be hats or, who knows, maybe belts.
Or Mackenzie's.
Yeah, Mackenzie bags. That's a
Which,
great
of course...
that is a great birthday present, isn't it? A Mackenzie bag.
Which, of course, are all available on the Cookie Jar merchandise shop, which is a new thing. So, I mean, a big week, really, for that. I didn't think we were going to get onto this, but let's talk about it. Big week for us. We released a YouTube video on the new logo, which was designed by Lee Wybranski.
Yeah.
We launched a new logo, which that process took the best part of a year. And then in the background to that, we collaborated with Peter Millar and a few other people and put out a load of stuff.
Yeah.
Tell me about...
We bought a ton of stock off them.
Yeah,
we say we collaborated. Just for the avoidance of that, we bought a ton of stock.
Yeah, I say collaborated. We just asked them if we could buy stock off them. Yeah,
and they were willing. Peter Millar do that.
Yeah, they were willing to sell.
They do that. That's their business,
Yeah. But it was nice to because we like the Peter Millar stuff, so it was nice to get a load of nice stuff. First of all, let's touch on the logo first. Then, so the logo is new. It's the hand in the jar. It's an alternate mark. It will not be replacing the monogram, but is to be used alongside. Talk to me. Tell the whole process, start to finish. Go.
Long, like really long. I think doing it with Lee was quite interesting because he sort of says,
who is Lee? For those who don't know.
Well, Lee Wybranski is obviously the famous artist who puts together the vivid watercolours for major championships. So people will have seen his work from Brookline or the 150th, or he does them for every major. He does a commission. They're distinctly his. They're very bright colours, and he captures. We did a great pod with him back in August time. I think we released it last year.
Yeah, we recorded
which was when
July
we met him.
2022.
Yeah, but then he does a lot of other stuff. He's essentially an artist. He's a great artist, and some of what he works on is logo design. So he works with some of the best clubs in America, whether that's the renovation of logos like Winged Foot and kind of constantly tweaking those and working on those completely new logos. I saw he did one for Tom Coyne's golf course. Do you see that with the propeller blade? I thought that was quite cool. So he's super good, and obviously his skills as an artist are really solid. But it's quite interesting working with him on the process of creating a logo. There's so many logos out there. Some are great, and some of them are truly appalling. And having somebody who just consults with you about it and says, and takes the room along with you, like that's the really hard part. The first thing he said to us was, well, you've got a descriptive name, so you can't really move too far away from a cookie jar.
Yeah, and I think that what was interesting is that for those who haven't listened to the podcast we did with him back in 22, I urge you to go back and listen to it. It was a wonderful podcast. And he tells a story about Dom Pedro the Ram, and it's like, and how the Ram shed became the logo of that golf course. And it's kind of like, it's way more than just making something look cool. It was digging into the story, digging into the evolution of, what is Cookie Jar, why is Cookie Jar, what's the story behind it. And then once he understood the story, it was kind of like, we have if you go back to the beginning, for those of you who don't know, Cookie Jars from we reference every now and again, but it's from the 2009 President's Cup where Tiger Woods hit the shot, sticks his hand out in front of him and kind of dips his hand down a little bit and walks down the fairway, marches down the fairway in that sort of checkered jumper. The joke was, he's put his hand in the cookie jar, and that was Cookie Jar Golf, and that hand became part of the thing we wanted to include. And when we started Cookie Jar Golf, we wanted a logo that looked like we'd been around for ages. So we had the monogram, the CJG, that we kind of drew on the back of a piece of paper and sent off to someone on Fiverr and said, could you tart this up? And they did.
Absolutely staggering that we got that one buried amongst the absolute tripe that was sent forward.
Yeah, I mean,
most of them look like video game covers from like the sort of late 90s. Like, they were truly heinous.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh wow, yeah, that's spot on. And it's actually a great logo as well.
It is a great logo, and we wanted something to appear like we'd been around for ages. You know, it was like a really like grand monogram, which we got. And then upon working with Lee, it was like, okay, well, we got this really cool, grand, historic logo.
Love the way you've called it grand. Nobody has ever said that's a very grand logo. But
is it the wrong word?
No, I don't think so. You say it becomes fact.
And then we wanted something a bit more fun, you know, move away from the monogram, a bit more pictorial, something that's more like a if you know, you know. Told the story of the evolution of the name of Cookie Jar, and that whole process took a year, which is absurd when you think about it.
We were dreadful on meetings. I think it could be shortened.
Yeah. Well, it's just trying to get through people to agree on stuff, and like you say, him just getting you to agree on whether we wanted something that had cross clubs which looked like Prestwick or County Down or something like that. Or something.
I was absolutely obsessed with the Dutch tiles.
Yeah, you were. Well, like that took you a long
figurines.
time to move away from the Delft tiles.
I don't think I have still.
Maybe we get a third logo.
But no, really cool, and you know, huge thank you for Lee for kind of bearing with us on that. It is hard, isn't it, to bring a room of people with you, and you know, we're a committee of 3 doing that on a series of meetings. But if you then extrapolate that to a golf club committee, which is how he typically works, clubs will engage him and he will consult with them. There's a real art in taking that room along with you to get to a point where you've got consensus. Yeah, you can just imagine golf club committees. They literally cannot agree on taking one tree out. When you're talking about a merchandise mark, I can imagine it is incredible. So, yeah, like I would highly encourage people to go on and check that out. If people want to go and purchase anything from the store, I think we can put a little discount code on here, can we?
I also think thank you for those that have kind of the Professor Lag, a former podcast guest, Dara Garahy, that's just pointed out every single flaw in the website that we've kind of fixed.
And Ryan as well. Like, I mean, it's great when you've got an audience that is so willing to offer absolutely uncensored feedback on what
scathing
works.
feedback.
But it's interesting, isn't it? It's so hard. Like, everything you do when you're doing this, you're doing it from scratch. You know, you put some T-pegs on the shop. There's only so much that can go wrong there. If you're going to sell, like, I took way too many garments off Peter Millar. So we went with lower stock count, but loads of different variations.
Which was a huge error.
Well, it's interesting because it gives people lots of choice. The flip side of that is it makes it a heinously complicated process, particularly when you've got multiple colours in the same product line, different sizes. Like, there's a ton of work. Just doing a product shoot was really hard. But actually quite good fun and rewarding, and you learn a ton of stuff. So did we get it right? No, 100% not. But when you get some wonderfully, someone once said to me, feedback is a gift, and in that sense, I think a few people have been very generous.
Yeah. Not all of it positive. Well, in fact, not any of it positive. Scathing kind of functionality feedback, but we've been, for those that are stuck with it, we've kind of been improving as we go along. I think people can forget that. I mean, someone texted and asked whether we have an e-commerce analyst. I was like, mate, this is me and Sam.
I am the e-commerce analyst.
Like, and not one of us do anything in that.
I run
space.
our warehouse and shipping and fulfillment department as well.
Yeah, so Sam's top floor is the warehouse.
If there's any other further sort of issues on the topic, people can get in touch with us on complaints@cookiejargolf.com, where our complaints team will look forward to receiving them. If they can put up with a somewhat clunky e-commerce journey, we would highly encourage them to go to our...
I fixed that now.
I still think it's clunky.
It's not clunky.
Okay.
Why is it clunky? Explain that to me.
Okay, if they can put up with a mediocre e-commerce journey, you'll take that with you. Then, and they put the code POD10 in at checkout, and they will get 10% off any purchases over £50. And without further ado, Tom, let's get into the rest of the podcast.
That was a 15-minute ad read. What's the rest of the podcast? You can't just point at me and say, get on with it.
So,
we're going to talk about TGL.
We've definitely got to talk about TGL.
That's why we were here.
That was a priority. I've got some other bits we'll no doubt come on to. There's a ton of noise. This is like crept up, do you not think? It's been sort of bubbling away, and then, 9th of January, we're doing this. Yeah. And Colin Morikawa is almost in tears, being filmed whilst he accepts his phone call to join the Los Angeles Golf Club. Apparently it's just going to be a thing. It's quite strange, isn't it?
I can't help feeling, but like, obviously we've had this disrupt with Liv, and that's all kind of happened in the background, which, if you believe the rumours that Jon Rahm might be on the way as well, and it's kind of this whole disruption. Of course, Jon Rahm pulled out of the TGL recently and said, it's not for me, but that's fine. And then you've had this sort of disrupt which has happened from an entity which the PGA weren't on board with, and suddenly it's because it's Tiger and Rory doing something that's for argument's sake being equally disruptive. Really, I suppose does not going to detract from the PGA mainstay, but we'll talk about that in a second. But how they're so like open arms about, this is so brilliant, it's innovative, it's stadium, it's 2,000 people watching, 3,000 people watching, this short game area. So explain the premise of it, just so that for those who aren't in the loop can understand.
I wouldn't say I've gone mega hardcore on research here, but there are going to be 6 teams: Jupiter Golf Links, Los Angeles Golf Club, Atlanta Drive Golf Club, Boston Common Golf, which is Rory's team, TGL New York, and TGL San Francisco. Those 6 teams, comprised of 24 players, will be playing in a stadium environment using, I don't really understand how the simulator technology is going to work here, but they're bigger simulators, so I imagine there's more ball flight. It's not you hitting into a net that's 2.5 yards away. It's going to be a sort of a bigger sort of proposition in that sense.
But they're only teams of 3, though, aren't they?
No, they play 3 shot. So what they're going to play is 15-hole matches.
Yeah.
The first 9 holes. I mean, this is where I think Tiger took a swipe at Liv and said, it's going to be easier to follow than Liv. I'll tell you what, it doesn't feel easy to explain right now. You play the first 9 holes in a 3-person alternate shot scenario, i.e. Hatton drives, Rory approaches, Keegan Bradley chips, and then Hatton putts,
Yeah.
So
instead
you
of
play those
foursomes,
first
it's
9
like
holes, and it's essentially in a match play environment with points for winning holes. The last 6 holes then, it goes into a one-on-one, I think.
It's like an alternate individual, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Rory will play a whole hole, then Hatton will play a whole
Exactly.
hole. For 6 holes. There's only 15 holes. Why you'd move away from 18 and make it such an arbitrary
I feel like
15?
12 was... I mean, I suppose it works the maths of who's there and who's hitting shots. I'm sure it's all been worked out. There's no getting away from it. They've put some serious people behind it. The people that are buying these teams, the same people that own NBA franchises, involved in NFL. The makeup of sports in the US is obviously a little bit different because the whole concept of these franchises, having residual value that becomes worthy of having investment, etc. I think the shot clock is a pretty big piece of news because they're going to apply this 40-second shot clock. When that starts ticking, I don't know. No doubt that keeps it moving.
I mean, it's a sim. You can bash out shots in 5 seconds. It's like, what are they worried about?
I've been on the phone to James Day before and listened to him play 18 holes at TPC Sawgrass in about 2.5 minutes because he's just walloping balls into the nets and he's got gimmies from 10 feet. But then when you get, I think, inside a certain distance, then you've got a green complex that is dynamic. It will move around. They can configure the green and the pins and the hole locations, I don't know, kind of in real time, or the slope, so that it reflects the strategy of the hole that they've played from tee to green, perhaps. So I presume there'll be shots from inside 60, 70, 80, maybe 100 yards or something are then played into this sort of green complex that will be, I'm guessing, artificial. The only thing I've really seen of what this looks like is a dreadful CGI drawing with loads of people standing up there with their hands in the air, get like clearly absolutely pumped. Yeah, I'd love to watch it. I look at it and think, why is this being used as... It's almost like they've spent the last year and a half completely bagging Live. Then they've taken the cover off this and said, this is why this is better than Live. But I thought we were bagging Live, so surely the goal was to make something more attractive than the PGA, wasn't it? Rather than...
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I'm fully understanding of the whole thing when you consider what they're trying to achieve. I really don't know. I mean, how they can even say that Live is difficult to understand. I mean, you play one last round of golf and it's a shotgun start. Apart from that, it's golf. You know, as much as you want to bag it for ethical reasons or whatever, and there's no, you know, the capitalism at its finest. You know, there's no like sort of singing for your supper. It's kind of like you just get money, you get paid whatever, and that's what people hate. And it's like, I don't know, it feels all very contrived. They reckon they're bringing in sort of, it's going to introduce golf to a new market and a new audience, which
that might be, and that might be the positive,
but
right?
I don't know who that is. I don't know who would. I
think they're all played at this SoFi Centre down in Jupiter. So if you're a kid that lives in Jupiter, chances are you've got a pretty good like sort of understanding of golf around your local area, because you probably live on the same road as about half a dozen PGA Tour pros.
Pretty golf dense part of the world, isn't
I
it?
don't know the geography well enough, so I will butcher this, but my gut feel is that's convenient for where the PGA guys live, not necessarily about where they can access a younger demographic and make golf feel exciting to an audience that wouldn't have felt it was exciting before. But maybe that's like a phase 2 thing. I don't know.
You know, I'm not an early adopter of anything, but it will be really interesting to see how this pans out. What will be really interesting to look at is they've committed to 15 rounds, and the 15 rounds they say are not going to interfere with PGA weeks. Now, the maths of that don't add up when there's about 44 PGA events in a wraparound year.
They might align it into the Florida swing, for example.
Well, I think
and they
what
might
they're going to have to do
it around
is,
that.
I think what they're actually saying is they're not going to compete with the designated events or whatever they're now called. So you get the designated weeks, and outside designated weeks, they'll probably be doing some, which you can imagine if 24 of the world's finest PGA golfers are going to be committed to something. Granted, it's only on a Monday night, I think is what they're doing. It's only going to last 2 hours. You know, I don't know how it's going to work. Is it 2 hours and then there's another match, like the Swordfish versus the Marlins on another night? I don't know. You know, is there going to be three back-to-back matches? I honestly don't know how that's going to unfold. Or whether they just have one match and there's only 8 people involved, and then the next week there's another match, there's only 8 people involved. Don't know. Interesting to see how it goes, but it'll be very interesting to see how it marries into the PGA schedule.
Yeah, and I think look, they'd be. I think if you take Rory and Tiger out of that, it doesn't necessarily stack up the same, does it? I think a big draw is watching Tiger hit golf shots.
Yeah,
like, there's no getting
and
away.
even him just putting him and Rory are, you know, two of the largest golf entities on the planet. And if you take their name off the whole endeavour, does it get off the ground?
No way, absolutely no way.
Probably not.
It's incredible when you think the pull those guys have.
You know, if this was even if you move down a bit, you know, if you said it was the Morikawa and Victor Hovland are starting this new thing, who can they drag along? It'd be, you know, you'd really struggle to pull.
I suppose you look at it. There's aspects to the NBA or the NFL or whatever that golf simply can't accommodate, and maybe there's thinking, well, you know what, maybe we can sort of sex it up a little bit and make it a bit more glamorous. But I don't see the need to sort of. I think there's a little bit in here around President's Cup, Ryder Cup. These things work really well because it's a team-based format. So whatever we do with golf to make it grow, it's got to be a team-based thing. And I fundamentally don't agree. Do I think it's a good idea? No, I think it's a bit like, I feel like we're sort of diluting it. But, you know, if it's a couple of hours on a Monday night, you know, interestingly, there's no real talk of money. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, they're kind of keeping it on the wraps, aren't they?
Yeah.
I don't know whether they're going to be wrapped into the. Oh God, I could just lose I can't keep up with all the fund that's done. It's not the, I want to say PIF, but that's the investment fund. The fund they divvy out to important people.
Yeah, the PIP.
The PIP, yeah. So the player impact program. So whether it's all wrapped up into that they're going to have to, as part of the PIP money, they're going to have to participate in this. I don't know. What's interesting is it seems to be that the connection between Live and PGA is falling apart. It looks like it's less, as the days pass, that looks less and less likely to happen, with kind of going through the courts and monopoly rules, and that looks less likely. And it's interesting that this is coming out at this time. So I don't know. I wonder how interesting it's going to be to watch. As lovely as it is to watch Tiger hit shots, into some sim, does it have the same attraction?
I don't know. We've bagged Grow the Game a lot on this podcast because I think Grow the Game has become a lot of like corporate sponsors taking kids out, little 5-minute vignettes in the broadcast about what a wonderful guy John is from AT&T for doing this stuff with kids from underprivileged backgrounds or whatever. I think this might be a positive, but yeah, it is not a purist thing, is it? Let's be honest.
No, and the other thing is
I'd 100% watch it, but
I'll give it a watch. But it's grassroots progression, isn't it? So grow the game. Let's grow the game. I'm in agreement with that. Now, a child comes along, watches Rory McIlroy hits balls into a sim, then walks onto a probably £20 million mega complex, which is the short game area that moves dynamically and you can move the holes. If a child wants to play that, what's his opportunity to go play that sport?
No, but I suppose the thinking is it just gives them a bit of an insight into watching people who are really good at golf who wouldn't watch.
But what's the pathway? What's the progression? It's not grow the game, it's grow their pockets. It's like, what's the pathway of getting little Johnny who's gone to watch it and thought this is brilliant? Maybe there is an initiative then to take these kids and say, okay, well, as a part of attending this event, you get 2 free rounds of golf at your local Munich, whatever it is. I don't know, but at the moment it just looks like another attempt to franchise it, make more money.
Yeah.
Shock.
Well, it's going to be on ESPN on the 9th of Jan. So,
the Ocho.
ESPN Ocho. I think it actually would have a place in ESPN Ocho.
I think it would as well.
That would be the natural. For anyone who's not seen Dodgeball, ESPN Ocho is the
ESPN 8, the Ocho.
Yeah, it basically plays all the abstract sports. Yeah, I think that would actually be a perfect network for this, actually.
Yeah.
But who knows? I
heard DJ Pyhowski refer to it as basically golf's take on basketball, which again
that's a great film.
That would which again would go on the
Trey
Ocho.
Parker.
Yeah, it's one of the first films from the Family Guy guys, isn't it? South Park guys, Matt Stone, Trey Parker. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. And you know what? I will be the first to hold my hands up and say I was wrong. I doubt that, but if this takes off and it's massive and I think it's brilliant, then I will say I'm wrong on the pod. Well, and I've never been wrong in my life, so this is going to be quite difficult.
Indeed, Thomas. Let's talk about the golf. And been anywhere, going anywhere, anything exciting coming up?
Have I been anywhere? The problem is I don't really go in a lot of places to play. We've recently had our retro event at West Byfleet Golf Club. Mm-hmm. That wasn't too long ago. I don't think we've discussed it on this podcast.
Don't think so.
The retro event where we did pre-1997 clubs. We got anyone who was interested in coming. There was no cap on the field. We invited whoever wanted to come along. We had some wonderful attendees, some very serious golfers, bringing along some very serious golf equipment. But there was some really nice, effort put in by lots of people.
People went out. I woke up that morning and thought, it's hosing down with rain. There's no way people are going to come to this. And everybody to a man that signed up turned up. And the effort people went into with the outfits was unbelievable. And it's amazing to see how well people scored. Some people scored. It was a tough day because it was a bit wet. But watching Josh White shoot 67 with Persimmons, it's like,
Yeah, and this wasn't Mickey Mouse. We weren't asking people to bring like, the clubs they played with. I mean, as a child, I mean, Zane Scotland did play with the clubs he played with when he was 16 and qualified for the Open, the exact same clubs. But like, I think what the point we were trying to do is there is some excellent gear knocking around from pre-1997, like, and people went out there and showed it. There were some good scores out there. So yeah, it was a really good event. We did that at West Byfleet. We had the catering department there did a wonderful job of giving us
retro meal.
We had cheese on sticks,
After
cheese
eight.
and pineapple on sticks.
Yeah. We had. I thought tableside squirty cream was pretty cool.
I did say to the chef there, I said, this has got to be the highlight of your culinary career, that you're coming around squirty creaming.
It was
the Black
just
Forest
sheer
Ghetto.
it was sheer 90s decadence from start to finish, wasn't it? And a great place, West Byfleet, a perfect venue for that event. This weekend, Thomas, I'm going to a course I've not been to before, and I'm quite excited about it.
Where are you going?
I'm going to play Crossland Heath on Sunday.
With who?
Friend?
Not invited.
You're welcome to come.
No, I've got Figs and Braves.
Crossland Heath, Mackenzie course, West Yorkshire. Some unbelievable sort of towering sort of par threes and stuff. I've looked at pictures of this place for ages.
Where is it?
Close to Huddersfield, I think.
Wow, that's a long way away.
Yeah.
You going on Saturday or Sunday?
Sunday. I'm pretty pumped about that.
Yeah,
well, I'm hoping to play there on Sunday. I've still got to sort it out. So I'm quite looking forward to in the winter months going and playing a few new places.
Yeah. I haven't got anything new in the diary.
And just see what we can find. Crossland Heath looks really cool. And this week, of course, we had a little trip down to London for Golf Quarterly's 50th edition. I was like, oh my God, this was the sort of thing where I got invited to a drinks party. I don't know how we ended up in the room there because there was people way more important than us. But we do get where Castor Oil wouldn't. And yeah, that was actually quite good fun.
Intimidating room to walk into because it's the great and the good of amateur journalists, right? And some of them are professional journalists, but people that give up. For those of you who don't know Golf Quarterly, it's a wonderful publication published quarterly, where people give up their time and efforts to write for Golf Quarterly, and it gets sent out for. Do not hold me to this, but I think it's 30 quid per annum.
Yeah, it's laughably cheap. It's absolutely absurd.
So cheap. It's like
but it's done such a labour of love by Tim.
Yeah,
and all the contributing sort of journalists. And it was so cool the fact that Tim had gone out and created all these different name badges for people. So you had like Andrew Barrow, who I think I contribute a bit in that ranking thing he does, where he ranks golf club showers or something obscure. So he's the ranking panelist. He runs the head of rankings was on his badge.
There,
you had like people like David Shaw Stewart, who's been on the podcast before from Try, and he was I think he was the sort of the Hebrides correspondent. He was a fashion correspondent. The best part was when Tim's daughter was there with a boyfriend, and because I think with the exception of you and me, were probably the only two people under 40 or 50, and their badges said social media manager. So good. Highly encourage people to go and sign up to that. It's just amateur golf at its best, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and Bruce has contributed to Golf Quarterly. He did an article in it.
Great piece about Tweddle.
An episode issue 49, which I think was about Dr. Bill Tweddle, which is a Blackwell member who captained the Walker Cup side. So Bruce wrote a piece in that. So yeah, it was really good to get down there. And of course, speaking of London, speaking of trips, we've got our Christmas. Thank you. I'm quite good at it. 211 episodes in. We got our Christmas drinks down in Urban Golf in London with Sounder and Urban and Cookie Jar down at London, which is free for anyone that would like to attend. You just need to sign up on the website to come, and then I think we're going to be doing a competition that might be like closer to the pin. It's like tenors in and you can win a Mackenzie. But it's on the
8th of December.
8th of
Friday.
December.
Friday night at Urban Golf. It's always good. That's 3 times we've done that now.
Yeah, it's a good event.
It's always a good evening.
You end up, you want to speak to loads of people because you turn up and you're like, oh, there's so and so. I haven't spoken to that person in ages, but there is so many so and so's that you just don't get round to it because it's packed with,
But the atmosphere is buzzing as well. It's the great thing is the same at the retro event. People come along and they don't know anyone. Everyone's just so cool. Everyone just, everyone's there to just meet different people and chat. Nothing ever feels like forced or contrived. So Christmas do will be a lot of fun. I think I did previously make a statement saying it's going to be the 30th of November, and I've had a few texts from people going, why did you change it? I've bloody made plans now. So
we changed it because the venue had a
we got outbid,
conflict.
Didn't we?
Yeah.
We got outbid. So we've got a sort of long-standing commercial arrangement with Urban Golf where we get to use that venue for our Christmas party for a certain sum of money. A large company came in and said, we want the whole venue and we're willing to pay probably more close to a market rate, and that trumped our £0 contribution. So I think James was within his right.
I think so. Yeah.
So we had to make a few little tweaks. So it sounds like our listeners are going to be doing a bit of time on our website dealing with your very mediocre
we've had a couple of orders
e-commerce journey and signing up.
Right now, since we've been podding, we've had a couple of towels sold. A polo. Polos are nice.
The fabrics are actually really good.
Yeah,
jokes aside,
Chris, an Easter egg. What's the real buy?
I don't know. Like I think some of those jute hoodies, the fabric on those I think they're on. So this is the thing. Some of the stuff on here is not cheap because what we wanted to do was a range that was better than what you pick up in your pro shop. Like most pro shops will stock the Perth range from Peter Millar. Most people will have a Perth hoodie, a Perth cord zip or a polo. And it's the sort of mainstay stuff. It's really good. It washes really well. I like the product a lot. But given the fact we were doing lots of different garments, it felt like, well, let's just go into the sort of like really premium luxury fabrics. And some of the stuff on there, I think a cardigan at $295 that is essentially cashmere is a bit of a punt.
I'll take that one on the chin.
But, some of the stuff that's in that excursionist range, the fabric is knockout. College hoodies are great. Do you know what? I think the polos that are in there, the fabric is, I think it's a level up on the fabric, firmer collar, great colorways, and not much more than your sort of normal polo that you'd used to be picking up in a pro shop. So we'll let our viewers and our listeners decide. And no doubt they will be in touch on complaints at cookiejargolf.com.
And if you're interested in,
they will be using that code POD10.
Pod 10. Yeah, Pod 10's 10% off. Anything over, I thought it was 50 quid. But
I said 50.
And if you're interested in following the kind of the process that we went through with Lee, there's a film on YouTube called Making the Mark, which is kind of the process we went through with Lee to design the new logo. So a few shameless plugs in there, a little bit about TGL, a little bit about golf, but I hope you've enjoyed it on your travels or commute or whatever it is.
And if people want to wish you a happy birthday, would they go to that grubby Splinter account that you're obsessed with running
Tom
on
from the
Instagram?
Jar. Or you could just come knock on my door, come to Blackwell. No one else wants to play with me. Come to Blackwell on Sunday because apparently Sam's not around. So come to Blackwell and we'll play some golf. Until next time.
Adios.
Watch this.